Our unit question is absolutism an effective form of government? Today's AIM question is, to what extent did absolutism affect Europe? Let's begin our text. Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth's 45-year reign, referred to as the Elizabethan era, or the Golden Age of Elizabeth, was one of the more constructive or positive periods in English history. Literature bloomed through the works of Spenser, Marlowe, and Shakespeare, and Francis Drake and Walter Raleigh were instrumental in expanding English influence in the New World, meaning the Americas. At home in England, fashion and education came to the fore, or got a lot of attention, because of Elizabeth's desire for knowledge, courtly behavior, or formal and polite behavior, and extravagant or fancy dress. Perhaps the most significant achievement was Elizabeth's ability to avoid a civil war. One of the most important concerns during Elizabeth's early reign was the potential conflict between Protestants and Catholics. In order to crack down on dissent or disagreements, the Act of Supremacy was passed in 1559, requiring public officials to take an oath or a pledge, acknowledging the sovereign ruler's control over the church, or face severe punishment. In addition, the Act of Uniformity of 1559 required the use of the Protestant Book of Common Prayer in church services. Queen Elizabeth also discontinued communion, the Catholic sacrament that had been reinstated under Queen Mary I. However, she also heeded or followed the advice of Sir William Cecil and assumed the title of Supreme Governor of the Church of England rather than Supreme Head, in order to avoid looking too power-hungry. Elizabeth died on March 24, 1603, and is buried at Westminster Abbey. Her death ended the Tudor dynasty. And there we have a picture of Queen Elizabeth. Let's read about Philip next. Philip II. In the 1500s, Spain emerged as the first modern European power. Spain's king, Charles V, was involved in almost constant warfare. His son, Philip II, who you see here, expanded Spanish influence and at first strengthened the Catholic Church. Then, believing he ruled by divine right, he made his own power absolute. Under him, Spain became the most powerful state in Europe. Lastly, we're going to read about King Louis XIV from France. Religious wars between Catholics and Protestants tore apart France in the late 1500s. In the 1640s, under Louis XIV, who assumed absolute power with the help of Cardinal Richelieu, France would become the most powerful state in Europe. Louis, known as the Sun King, ruled for 72 years. His claim to power was furthered by Jacques Bossuet, who argued that Louis was God's representative here on earth. In his time, he transformed the monarchy. Immediately after assuming control of the government, Louis XIV worked tirelessly to centralize and tighten control of France and its overseas colonies. Louis is often remembered for the bold and infamous statement, "L'État c'est moi," or "I am the state." He thought he was very important. He ushered or brought in a golden age of art and literature, and presided over a dazzling royal court at Versailles, which was his palace. He also annexed or added key territories and established his country as the dominant European power. However, the fundamental weakness of the French economy was never tackled. The greatest number of people were the poor, and they paid the most in taxes. In the face of this gross or extreme inequity, they would eventually rebel.